It is Saturday, October 4th, and last night, big news, Hamas agreeing to President Trump's peace plan to end the Israeli-Hamas war. All of this happening now, happening today, tomorrow, this weekend. This could go down as the largest victory of the Trump administration. Also, federal authorities descending on Chicago, carrying out the largest crackdown that we've seen yet. Over 1,000 illegals arrested thus far. Illinois governor fighting back, denying DHS Secretary Kristi Noem entry into Chicago federal buildings or government buildings, and more stories as well from around the country.
This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down and concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented. But thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East, and we're very close to achieving that.
Late last night, Palestinian leaders coming out praising the president's peacemaking efforts and Hamas agreeing to Trump's 20-point peace plan, agreeing to release all remaining hostages. It's been almost 2 years since October 7th. 2 years these people have been held hostage. Hamas now has until Sunday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, to deliver on this first stage of the deal, releasing all remaining hostages and the remains of the deceased as well. President Trump sending his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to Egypt this morning. Both men flying to the Middle East right now to oversee this part of the deal, oversee the handoff with the Red Cross most likely, to complete this hostage release. The president posting on Truth Social this morning, "I appreciate that Israel has temporarily stopped the bombing in order to give the hostage release and peace deal a chance to be completed. Hamas must move quickly or else all bets will be off. I will not tolerate delay, which many think will happen, or any outcome where Gaza poses a threat again. Let's get this done fast. Everyone will be treated fairly." Hamas agreeing to release all remaining Israeli hostages and the remains of the deceased. Additionally, they've agreed to begin meeting immediately to hammer out the remaining details of this peace plan. At this point, we don't know if they've agreed to all 20 points of this plan, but they've agreed to the big ones, the important ones, returning all hostages alive and dead, and that they will step down from power, that they're handing over power, hand over the administration of the Gaza Strip to a Palestinian body of independence based on Palestinian national consensus and Arab and Islamic support. At present, the only point out of the 20 that we're aware of that they requested further negotiation on is demilitarization, surrendering their weapons. Demilitarization is the one point that they've requested to continue negotiating on. We believe all other points they're on board with. And realize Hamas has no leverage left. Once they release these remaining hostages, they are vulnerable. So they're going to need some guarantees that they're just not going to be obliterated as soon as this handoff takes place. The only thing stopping Israel from wiping them out is Donald Trump, President Trump's word that all parties will be treated fairly. Even CNN acknowledging how large a victory, an unprecedented victory, this would be for the president. Roll the tape.
And if President Trump is able to do this, it's a major victory for him.
Look, it is challenging to actually hear that piece of, Trump potentially being the one to get the ceasefire deal. But I think what we are seeing now is that a lot of people are tired of the devastation that's happening to the Palestinian people. And so how do we figure out a path forward? And so I would be interested to understand President Trump's interest in this, because he has said some things that are very harmful to the Palestinian people. I don't know, what his motivations are.
He wants the war to end. I mean, he wants the war.
the hostage effect. That's what he wants.
I don't
he
think
wants
it's
the war to end for a lot of reasons. Some of them are personal reasons. He wants that Nobel Peace Prize. Some of them are that I do think that whatever you think of Trump, he does not like the idea of all the death and destruction. But
Federal authorities descending into the sanctuary city of Chicago. Over 1,000 illegals arrested thus far in DHS's Operation Midway Blitz. This operation launched a month ago, and ICE, with the help of U.S. Border Patrol, setting out to find, arrest, and deport the worst of the illegals in that city. DHS releasing details on some of the 1,000 criminal aliens that they've thus far arrested. Rafael Alberto Martinez, arrested in Chicago for aggravated domestic battery of a 3-year-old. Pedro Andres, domestic battery, endangering a child, aggravated battery. Marcos Ocampo, domestic battery, armed robbery, drug possession, criminal assault, kidnapping, criminal bad behavior by force, and more and more of them, all of which the uber left-wing government in Illinois, J.B. Pritzker's government, fighting tooth and nail to keep in their state. Think about that. If you live in Illinois or Chicago, do you want these people in your city, regardless of immigration status? Why on earth is the governor and mayor resisting their removal? It's insane. Governor Pritzker yesterday holding a press conference arguing that these people ICE is arresting are Chicagoans, he says, our neighbors, members of our community whom we love, and goes on to claim that President Trump is doing this because he's sick, that he's concerned for the president's health. Really? Watch.
It appears that Donald Trump not only has dementia set in, but he's copying tactics of Vladimir Putin, sending troops into cities, thinking that that's some sort of proving ground for war, or that indeed there's some sort of internal war going on in the United States, is just, frankly, inane. And I'm concerned for his health. The idea that you're going to go suggest that you're going to arrest people, or that people don't deserve to be U.S. citizens when they are, just because they oppose the president of the United States. I mean, there is something genuinely wrong with this man, and the 25th Amendment ought to be invoked.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem blasting Illinois officials yesterday after she and her staff were blocked, she says, from entering a government building in the city in Chicago. Per the orders, she says, of Governor Pritzker, Kristi Noem sharing this video on social media of her team being denied entry to the Village of Broadway Municipal Building. Watch this.
Can we use your restrooms? No, you cannot. We can?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Interesting. That's what Governor Pritzker says is cooperation in keeping people safe.
So why wouldn't they let you in? What's been going on here? What's been going on here, Secretary?
We were coming to go out and do some operations to pick up some guys with criminal convictions on them, and the city police wouldn't even let us use a restroom.
And you were just blocked by a worker here for the city?
A worker at the municipal building here in Broadmoor would not allow us to go in and to use a restroom at the police station. So as much as these local leaders and governors talk about cooperating and having the backs of their law enforcement officers, this is what we have to put up with every single day. And all we're doing is getting criminals and terrorists and cartels and gang members off the streets to make families safer here. It's ridiculous.
I mean, is impeding law enforcement? I mean, this is a real problem around here.
This is a real problem. I'm so proud of our officers that deal with this every single day. They know that America's got their backs, but what they face here every day is real prosecution.
Secretary Noem saying this is a public building. The Village of Broadview receives at least $1 million in federal funding each year. This is how J.B. Pritzker and his cronies treat our law enforcement. Absolutely shameful, she says. And it's not stopping in Chicago, adding that tomorrow the Department of War will be rolling into Portland. She says within 24 hours they will be in the city of Portland. That what happened to independent journalist Nick Sorter last night, she says, will never happen again. Watch.
We've seen a lot of attacks in Portland, a lot of news right now with various independent journalists that have been beat, that have been hit in the face, that have been locked up and arrested. What's going on there? Can you give us any status update?
Well, you've got a presence in Portland that is Antifa affiliated. And so that is a situation where you have known professionals, targeted violence that want to tear down America and will apparently attack anyone, even journalists that are just trying to report the truth of what's happening on the streets. So we're not just going to be rolling out of Chicago here, but we're sending in the Department of War at the request that I made to Secretary Hegseth. They're going to be rolling in here within the next 24 hours. Wow. They'll be coming to Chicago too. I put a request in today for them to come to Chicago. And we're going to not only have our officers that are out there with HSI and ICE, but we're also going to have backup from our military because everybody deserves that. And so what we saw happen to that journalist last night will not happen again. We will not allow that to happen again, where those individuals are persecuted for trying to show what's happening on our streets and for what they're doing to our law enforcement officers.
In another story, President Trump has just notified Congress that he's in an armed conflict with enemy combatant drug cartels. We reported yesterday how this was coming, how the administration was working behind the scenes to potentially force a vote in Congress on an official declaration of war against the cartels. Well, it's happened.
But first, President Trump tells Congress he is in an armed conflict with enemy combatant cartel members. And this new video shows a fourth drug boat taken out by the Department of War. Look at this. Now, Secretary Pete Hegseth sharing this, quote, "Our intelligence, without a doubt, confirmed that this vessel was trafficking narcotics." The Trump administration says its cartel crackdown is working, but you don't have to take their word for it.
Do you think what President Trump has been doing has been making your job tougher?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
But it's becoming more difficult, you think?
Yeah.
Let's bring in Border Czar Tom Homan. Tom, it's so great to speak with you. That's a cartel member masked, admitting that what you're doing is working.
And we're still obviously a long way from Congress holding a vote because there's all types of implications if they were to move forward with that. But we're hearing that's the plan. That's what the administration's pushing for. What that means, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think Congress is sure yet what that would fully mean, what type of authority that would grant the president. The declaration of war would have to be drafted and would spell out, the exact authority in detail. This is something that we're going to be hearing a lot more about in the coming weeks. Just wait for it. We'll keep you posted as more details come out. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.